to the KJ & Company Thanksgiving Kitchen. Today we are making an herb croissant stuffing. And these croissants are so buttery and so good, it makes stuffing next level. And it's the perfect option to get a delicious side dish on the table for Thanksgiving. So let's get started. All right, so we're gonna start out by just cubing up some of these croissants. I get mine from Costco because you can get a big old thing of them. Plus, if you got extras, you can make little sandwiches because everybody knows you get hungry during the day when you're making Thanksgiving. So you kind of just want like 2-inch cubes, just kind of like that. And you're just gonna put them on a baking sheet pan. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna bake these and kind of dry them out and get them extra crispy. And that way they just soak up all the goodness of the stuffing that we're making. So I just kind of cut them in half, cut them in cubes. Just like that. Plus, like look how fun all these little layers are. Can you see all the layers of the buttery croissant? I just love that. It just makes the stuffing so much more visually appealing. Because, I mean, stuffing really. Is it ever the prettiest thing to look at? No, not really. So we're gonna try to make it pretty. As pretty as we can. So this is just kind of rough. Doesn't have to be anything crazy. All right, so you just wanna arrange these and then we're just gonna pop these in the oven and get them nice and toasted and crispy and crunchy. Now, the part that's gonna make you cry. I cry so much with onions, but we've heard that if you put a wet paper towel next to your onion as you're cutting it, right on your cutting board, that it helps. So let's see, because I'm a crier. I'm not crying. I think this is working. I usually cry so much with onions. Okay, you heard it here. Put a wet paper towel on your cutting board. I mean, like I can smell it, but I'm not crying yet. It's tickling my nose. It wants to. I'm not gonna let it win. Okay, so we're just gonna give this a rough chop. We're just gonna chop everything up and then we're gonna throw everything into a skillet and get it nice and caramelized and build the base of our stuffing. This is magical. I've never not cried cutting an onion. Okay, new life hack. Gonna hang on to that one for the rest of forever. All right, then we got celery. Just give everything a rough chop. Nothing fancy here. A good crunchy stalk of celery is one of the most satisfying things, in my opinion, to chop up because it's just nice and crunchy. All right, then we're gonna do a couple carrots. Just good sized carrots. I peeled them already. Woo. You kind of just want to make all the veggies the same size, so these larger ends you're gonna cut down a little bit more. You could also use baby carrots because then they would all cut up to be exactly the same little rounds. I am behooved that I am not crying from this onion. I am behooved. Like I can smell it, like, so all of my senses want to like, my eyes want to water, but they're not. Now, we're also gonna chop up some mushrooms. And if you're not a mushroom person, you can use something like bacon or pancetta instead of this stuffing and it'll get just the same results. Essentially, you just want something that's gonna give you that extra earthiness of flavor and depth of flavor. So I'm gonna chop these and kind of do kind of similar, smaller pieces. So if there's people who maybe don't like mushrooms, if it's hidden in the stuffing, well then you know, I don't. You might be able to get away with it. Just kind of rough chop these. And I don't know about you guys, but I love mushrooms. I love the flavor that they give, especially when they're like cooked in butter and garlic, which we're about to do. And then lots of fresh herbs. They just add lots of good flavor. All right, and then now we're just gonna get all the chopping done right at once because then you can just go to the stovetop and cook everything and everything's ready to go. So we're gonna do some fresh herbs and we're gonna do a combination of fresh rosemary and fresh thyme. And you could use dried here, But since, well, one, it's Thanksgiving, and two, it's such a primary ingredient that fresh really is gonna make a big difference. But if you're using dried herbs are always more potent, so you're gonna have to use less than you would fresh. Plus, when you use fresh, they do add a nice bright green pop of color and just look pretty, nice and speckled throughout. Plus, like, your fingers smell really good, especially after working with rosemary. I'm also the crazy person. I love the way that my hands smell after I cut onions. I know that is not normal, but it like makes me feel like I've accomplished something. Like I've been cooking all day in the kitchen. I don't know, it's weird, I know. A lot of people try to get the onion smell off of their hands, and I don't mind if it like lingers. Okay, so you're just gonna give the herbs the fresh herbs just a quick chop. Especially the rosemary, you just want to kind of break it down a little bit. We don't want huge pieces because nobody wants to bite into that. It is smelling like Thanksgiving here already. Just the combination of all these things takes me straight to Thanksgiving. All right, now we're gonna do some fresh thyme. And it takes a little bit longer to get all these off, but it's worth it. Just a little patience. Plus, if you have people helping you in the kitchen, this is a really great job. They can just pick time. They can take their time picking time. So same thing here, just give it all a rough chop. This goes a little bit quicker since the pieces are smaller to begin with. Now, all the hard work's done. It's time to go to the oven. All right, so I just pulled these croissants out of the oven. You can see how toasted they are, and they're nice and crispy and crunchy, and so they're gonna soak up everything so well. And plus, they're beautiful. Okay. All right, so we're gonna start some butter in the pan, get it all melted. And then we're gonna add in those mushrooms that we diced up. We wanna get these nice and crispy and caramelized as we can because it'll produce lots of flavor, especially when they get browned. Just don't burn them. Nobody wants a burnt mushroom. This is also a great time to season with salt and pepper. The salt will also help pull out the moisture in the mushrooms and help them cook more thoroughly. All right, then we're gonna add in some chopped garlic. Stir it all together. We're building all those layers of flavor. Once the mushrooms have had a chance to get brown, we're going to add in all those carrots, onions, and celery that we chopped up earlier, just straight into the pot. Go ahead and season with a little bit more salt and pepper. We want every layer to have flavor. Sprinkle in those fresh herbs. And let this saute together until the onion is nice and translucent and the veggies are soft. And then when the veggies start to get nice and brown like this, we're going to deglaze the pan with a little bit of white wine. That's what you want. A little bit goes a long ways. It's going to help get all that flavor out the bottom of the pan. Get all that good stuff off with your spatula. Now we're gonna assemble the stuffing once we have everything ready. So we have our 9x13 baking pan here, and we're gonna just do it in layers. So I like to start out, we're gonna do a layer of the vegetable mixture on the bottom. Ooh, try not to make a mess. It doesn't have to be anything fancy or particular, just get a layer there on the bottom. This will also help it not stick to the bottom of the pan very much. Okay. And then you're just gonna toss in the croissants. They're nice and crunchy. Can you hear that? They're nice and crunchy. And that's what you want. You just layer them on in. gonna go more veggies. Ooh. More croissants. And you might have to kind of like smush them down in. And that's a-okay. Just keep working in batches. And when you get to the top, you can kind of arrange the cute looking ones, you know, because they'll be the star of the show as they're poking through. I like to see the swirls and the croissants. Once you get them all in there, it's okay if it's not an even layer because we're just gonna lightly cover this with foil and you don't have to worry about having a lid or anything on it. Then we're gonna get the last few veggies on there. They're like little nuggets of flavor. Oh, hi, can I do this? You want some? Alright, now that we got it all assembled, it's gonna feel weird, but we're gonna cover it in chicken stock. And it seems like such a weird thing, but those croissants are just gonna soak everything up, and as it bakes together, it's gonna meld all those flavors together. Just give everything a nice, good dosage. Just get it all. Try not to make a mess like I am. The croissants are already soaking up so much of it. Okay. And if you wanted to keep this vegetarian, you could use veggie stock instead. All right, now we're gonna cover this with foil and then pop it in the oven and let the oven do the hard work for us. Cover with foil. And then when it's almost done baking, we'll take the foil off and then the topping can get all nice and crispy and brown. Okay, the stuffing has been baking away and it smells wonderful. Now it's time to take the foil off. Ooh, yes. Look how good that looks. And now what we're gonna do is we're gonna put it back in the oven, but this will get the tops nice and crusty and brown. Look how golden brown and delicious this stuffing is. Oh, it smells amazing and so buttery from the croissants. It's perfect to scoop into right away when it's warm and pair it with some stuffing, oh, and some gravy. That's the stuffing you need. Oh, pair it with some turkey and some gravy. This is the stuffing. That's the stuffing you need. That's the perfect bite. All right, I'm gonna sneak a bite because we gotta try it. Just going into the corner there. The corners are usually crispy too. It's gonna be nice and hot. It's hot. I can tell already. Okay. That is Thanksgiving in a bite. That's so good. The croissant's so buttery, it's a game changer. You're not gonna go back to a regular stuffing after this. You gotta get it. I'm gonna keep eating this. I freak myself out.
You nailed everything.
Check. Okay. Fixing my hair in the reflection of it. Okay. Now, all the hard work's done. It's time to go to the oven. Cut. How are we going to the oven?
Good question.
I'm getting 90.
You're good.